AMD has got to be one of the most hyped stocks in the last couple of years. This year, the stock has taken a huge beating, but in the last few weeks, it's been rallying pretty strongly and has been making new 52-week highs. Today, we're going to do a deep dive on the numbers behind AMD, see if the business is something that's actually sustainable, if it's a profitable business, is it been growing over the last few years? All of these questions will be answered, and I will share all the information that I have on this company with you guys right now. Welcome back, guys, to another video. Hit that subscribe button down below if you like this deep dive series that I'm doing. If you have a favorite stock that you want me to cover and do a deep dive analysis on, make sure to comment it down below, and the comment that gets the most thumbs up is what I'll cover. But anyways, getting right into it, I'm kind of doing a different layout here. So I've created these PowerPoint presentations and I want to walk you guys through the information that I found on this company. So let's get to it. It will be an in-depth analysis, but I'll try to keep it fairly high level so you can follow with me and you can kind of make a decision on your own if this is a good investment or not. Alright, so AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, is traded as AMD on the stock market. And if you're not familiar, they're actually a semiconductor company. So they design CPUs, they design GPUs, and they also design APUs. So if you're not familiar with these terms, they're pretty much processors, graphic processors, or a graphic and a CPU processor in one. Now, as of 2018, their most popular products are the Ryzen and the EPYC processors, which are designed for consumers and servers respectively. Now, in terms of their competition, AMD has had two long-term competitors, one in the processor space and one in the graphics space. These competitors, I'm sure you've heard of these companies, are Intel, which is traded under ticker symbol INTC, and Intel deals with processors competing directly with AMD's processors. And then we have NVIDIA under ticker symbol NVDA, who is a competitor in the graphics processors division. So both of these companies, Intel and NVIDIA, have performed pretty well over the last year. NVIDIA with a 73% gain, and Intel with a 52% gain, where AMD has gone up around 32%, so it has underperformed the competition in this aspect. Now, there are many reasons that have contributed to why AMD did not increase as much as Intel or NVIDIA, and we'll get into that in a couple of slides. So now getting into the analysts, during the last 12 months, AMD has had 9 analysts as bullish, 4 analysts as bearish, and 2 analysts as neutral. So the overall sentiment here is that most analysts or majority of analysts are actually bullish on this stock. The average price target amongst these analysts is around $14.88, which is actually below where the stock price is trading at today. So this could mean one of two things. Either the stock is now valued at a valuation that analysts don't believe that it is, or analysts will soon come out and upgrade their price targets on the stock. It could go either way. It really will depend on the prospects that the company has, especially in the next upcoming earnings that they talk about. And that'll really determine whether the stock price will continue moving up as it has over the last few weeks, or if it will correct back down to the $10 to $15 range. Now, of course, we have to look at the technicals. Here on Positive Investing, we use technicals to help us determine entry and exit points. And looking at AMD's technicals here, you can currently see that it's testing a strong uptrend resistance. And if you look down there, the stochastic RSI shows that it's entering an oversold territory despite it hitting a 52-week high. So that's typically a bullish sign. Now, we'll need volume to really pick up, and we'll have to have a strong close above this trend line if we want to have a positive move in the stock moving forward. If that trend line break fails, then we're probably going to enter the consolidation range that we've been in since 2016, and that's between the $10 and $15 range. So now, quickly going over some of the fundamentals for AMD, we can see that they currently do not have a PE ratio, and that's because AMD is not a profitable business right now. They do have a forward PE of around 27, which is slightly higher than the average, but it falls right in the middle of their competition, where Intel's at 13.55, which is fairly low, and NVIDIA's at 33.36, which is getting on the higher side. Now, of course, AMD does not currently pay out a dividend because, like we said, they're not profitable, and this is considered a growth company. So don't expect any dividends to get paid out anytime soon. They're going to be putting all this money back into the business to grow the company, to grow their business, and to gain more market share in the industry. Now, of course, no investment is complete without looking at their balance sheet. So the balance sheet for AMD is a bit worrisome. So if we look at the cash and investments here, they have a combined total of around $1.234 billion, but their debt is coming in at around $1.395 billion. So their cash to debt ratio is actually a 0.885, which is lower than a 1, and we typically want to see at least double cash to debt, because if there is some sort of economic downturn or the stock struggles or the company has some sort of lawsuit, that they can actually pay off these bills or debts or whatever that is and don't have to go bankrupt or file for bankruptcy. As it stands right now, AMD is in a position where it would struggle if we do enter an economic downturn, which is another potential red flag to consider if you're investing in AMD. Alright, so now let's get into the fun stuff, and this is where I kind of went and tabulated some information that I found online and really figured out if AMD is growing, how fast it's growing, and if the recent rise in the stock price is actually sustainable and justified. So first of all, if we look at these charts here, we can see that the revenue has been increasing substantially year over year. So that's always a good thing to see. You always want to see a company increasing their revenue year over year. If we do see a decrease in revenue year over year, then that'll typically raise a red flag. In this case though, AMD has been increasing over the last 2 or 3 years or so, and it has been increasing almost double digits. So last year we had almost a 25% growth in revenue, which is very healthy. Now, of course, the next thing we need to look at is the net income and the operating income. This again has been turning green in the last couple of years. The operating income actually had a triple-digit growth last year with a 132% gain, and the trailing 12 months is actually at an 89%. So I suspect that it'll most likely be a triple-digit gain in these next 12 months as well. And the net income is even better, where they've gone from a 92% to 180%, and in the last 12 months, they have a 300% net income increase. Now that is absolutely fantastic, and this kind of supports the thesis that AMD will become profitable very soon, most likely this year. Now another thing I like looking at is their capital spending. A lot of investors don't really look at this, but it is important to see how effective AMD is with how much money they spend. So if you look at their capital spending, it is increasing year over year, and this could be because maybe they're purchasing new property, maybe they're purchasing new equipment, whatever it may be. Their capital spending has gone up double digits in the last year, which is a little bit concerning, and I do think that this is something they need to address, because this will kind of eat into their profits, and as long as they can control this, they can have those profits grow even faster. Now finally, what we need to look at here is the stock performance. So as we saw from the technicals, the stock price and the stock performance is really kind of reflectant in their profits. So just as an FYI, the stock performance data here is divided by 10 just for scale, and you'll see that in the next chart. However, if you look at the growth here for the stock, over the last few years we have had some growth in the stock. However, the last year it did take a hit, but it has recovered since, and in the last trailing 12 months we have gone up substantially at 50%. So this is again kind of supporting the fact that it is becoming profitable. They are pulling in profits now, and investors are a lot more bullish and optimistic in this company as they were before. Now that being said, does this really justify the fact that it's reaching 52-week highs? Well, based on the numbers, yes, it is turning a profit, but I think they have a long way to go to really bring down that debt and actually become a business that has a 2-to-1 ratio where they have twice as much cash as they have debt. That is something I typically like to look for, at least a 2-to-1 ratio, if not more. Sometimes businesses I invest in have a 4-to-1 ratio, but that is something AMD really needs to work on, in my opinion. So here we can see that the visual of this graph here really shows us what we just looked at a couple of minutes ago. And as their revenue has increased, so has their stock price, so has their profits, and so far things are looking pretty good for this company. You can see that the stock price actually follows the net income pretty closely, but recently the stock price has been moving a lot more exponentially compared to the net income. So that is something to take note of, because if we do see a correction in the market, or if we do see some weakness in the sector, or if some bad news comes out in the stock, it will correct to be more in line with that net income. So the real question I'm sure a lot of you are wondering is AMD a buy? Am I buying AMD? Should you buy AMD? Well, just remember that I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to go out there and tell you guys to buy AMD. I'm just here to give you the facts, and then you can go ahead, do more research, and figure out if AMD is a buy. But now looking at this year, what I've kind of summed up is that AMD really has the potential to be a big player in the future. So as they continue to grow their business and start turning a profit, you're going to see more interest around the company, you're going to see more investors interested in the company, and as a result, the stock price should move up. However, there is increasing competition from Intel and NVIDIA, and of course, Intel has a good chunk of the market from the processor aspect, NVIDIA has a good chunk of the market from the graphics aspect. So this is not really good for AMD, and it definitely will hurt their business, but how much it hurts their business will really depend on how management is able to run this company. AMD still owns a very small portion of the market, so the growth potential here is there. The stock price could have some significant growth in the next few years, but like I said, the management team really needs to make the right moves to get it there. AMD has a great following, they have a very loyal fan base, but that's not going to be enough to get this company to the next level to actually compete seriously with its competitors. So really, due to the competitive nature of this industry and this business, and the higher than average forward PE ratio that AMD has, and of course the fact that they're currently, as of right now, not a profitable business, AMD is not a buy for me. Now that doesn't mean that it's not a company that you may want to invest in, and of course that doesn't mean that it's not a company that will keep going up over the next few years. It's just that I'm not comfortable with this investment as of right now. I'll wait for the company to really prove to me that it can sustain these profits, and like we talked about before, bring down that debt to a more manageable level, or just increase their cash so that they can support that debt payment if they ever need to do so. So now I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below if you hold AMD in your portfolio. Do you own AMD stock? Is there a company that you think that AMD should look into partnering with to maybe compete with Intel and NVIDIA? There's a lot of different things that could happen, a lot of different ways that AMD could gain more market share. I know that they have recently announced a partnership with Intel, of all companies, to compete with NVIDIA. So this is kind of a really big shift in the market and the way that these companies see each other. So who knows, maybe this partnership with Intel will actually help AMD over the long term. But I'd really like to know your thoughts. Make sure to comment it down below, and make sure to comment the next company that you want me to review. And of course, like I said, one that gets the most thumbs up will be one that I'll look at and making a video on. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Really did take a lot of effort and time to make this, so if you appreciate it, drop a huge like here. Let's get at least 50 likes on this video. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. And of course, don't forget to join our brand new Facebook group where we have more than 100 members now. So our Facebook group, Positive Investor, you can find us on Facebook. We have some great discussions on there, and I'm actually very active on there. So you'll learn a lot of things, you can interact with me directly, and it's actually a great community to learn more about the stock market, investing, personal finance. Either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one.